Okay, here's chapter 16 of Toby's story. Tyler put me down on the floor, and we went along the hallway in a pack. Patsy, Fran, Mona, Tyler, and me. Mona kept hold of my leash. In a moment, I saw that we were headed for the quiet place. I don't think you've been to this wing before, Fran said to Tyler as we walked. It's just a place where we can take very good care of people like your grandfather. Everything is about keeping them comfortable, about taking care of them and their families. Whatever your grandfather needs, we'll make sure that he has it. And I've been in touch with your mother. She and your father will be here as soon as they can. Tyler nodded. I looked up into his face and Mona's, trying to decide why everyone was so sad. We'd had so much fun running. What had happened? Fran opened a door and Tyler went inside. He reached out for Mona's hand, the one holding my leash, and held it. So Mona and I went inside with him. Patsy and Fran stayed in the doorway looking in. Granddad was there. He was sitting up in a bed, leaning back against the headboard. I ran up to the bed, wagging hard, and put my muddy front paws up on the quilt, trying to tell him what a good time we'd had, Tyler and I, running along the track. How we hadn't found the ranch and Sadie and Walt, but it was all right because we'd played chase me with lots of boys. Granddad moved his hand, more slowly than he usually did, to rub my ears. How'd you do? He asked Tyler. His words came more slowly, too. I won, Tyler said, a little shakily. Toby and I won. He ran the whole thing with me, Granddad. Granddad grinned. Of course he did. And what about this young lady? Is she your girlfriend yet? Tyler groaned. Granddad. Mona spoke up almost at the same time Tyler did. Yes, she said. Granddad chuckled. I thought so. Granddad, what happened? Tyler asked. I dropped. Okay. There Toby is laying with Granddad. He's smiling. Okay, I dropped. Oh, sorry. My feet down to the floor so I could look up at him better. Are you sick? It's the old ticker, I'm afraid. Granddad had to stop talking to draw in a breath. Just ran out of time. Sit here with me a while, will you? Tyler sat down in a chair. Mona sat next to him and held onto his hand. There was so much sadness in that room that I sat down on Tyler's feet and whined. I wish we could go outside and run so fast that we'd leave all of this sorrow behind. For the next day or two, Tyler and I went for a run in the mornings, but after that we'd go right to Granddad's room. Mona came too, and a woman Tyler called Mom and a man he called Dad were there a lot as well. Sometimes Granddad talked to us and had the energy to reach up and scratch my ears. Sometimes he just lay still. A few days after Tyler and I had run in the woods with all the other boys, Patsy came to find me. I was outside on the lawn, bringing the ball back to Dorothy. I'm afraid I need Toby, Dorothy, Patsy said. I'm sorry to hear that, Dorothy said quietly. I laid the ball in her lap and ran over to Patsy, who gave me a treat. Come, Toby, I have a job for you, she said. And she walked with me down the hall to the quiet place. I was not surprised when we headed for Granddad's new room. Tyler was there and Mona too. Mom was sitting in a chair near Granddad's bed, and Dad was leaning over her with an arm around her shoulders. Granddad was asleep, leaning back on his pillows. His breathing sounded like Tyler's after he and I had finished our morning runs. I wanted to say hello to Granddad, so I jumped up on the bed. He didn't move. I sniffed at his face. There was a smell I recognized, a faint one that somehow told me Granddad was far away, too far to rub my ears or feed me a treat or call me by my name. I knew what to do. I did lie still. Good boy, Toby, Patsy said softly. Shall I leave you together? Yes, thank you, Dad said. His voice was hoarse. Tyler came over to the bed and stroked my head. He ran a hand along my back. Goodbye, Granddad. I love you, he said softly. Mom and Dad came close to the bed, too. Mona hesitated, but Tyler held out his hand to her, and she reached over to take it. I did lie still, feeling the warmth of Granddad's side along my back. All these people were here with Granddad because they loved him. I could feel the love coming from them and how it wrapped around Granddad and held him close. Granddad belonged to all these people, and I did too. It was a new thought for me, and it made me so happy my tail wanted to wag, but I didn't let it. I knew tail wagging was not part of lie still. My life was going to be different from my mother's. She belonged to one person, to Walt, but I did not. I wasn't Mona's dog or Patsy's or Tyler's or Eddie's. I belonged to all my friends. I was everyone's dog. I was surrounded by people who loved me, just like Granddad was. Suddenly, I understood that I was the luckiest dog in the world. Okay, and that is the end of Toby's story.